When I was asked to speak at the conference, I initially thought this was going to be a straight-up conversation about artificial intelligence, the future of artificial intelligence, what our symbiotic relationship with AI is likely to be, and the ways in which autonomous systems are going to transform our lives. And I am going to talk about a lot of that stuff. But what I've realized from meeting with people here already today is that, as is usually the case, the logistics, the technology part of what we're working on is really secondary. What's really critical is what's at the heart of the matter, and that's why this is the title of my presentation today. So when we think about technologies like artificial intelligence today, I always prefer the idea that AI actually refers to algorithmic imitation. So what we're looking at is a facsimile of intelligence. And because as a species, we're not really very good at differentiating between something true and something compelling, when, for example, we put ChatGPT into audio mode and we're having a conversation, it starts to feel, we anthropomorphize, it starts to feel like we're having a conversation with an independent intelligence. But the reality is that it's a compelling algorithm. It's forecasting the next words that we would probably accept if we heard them. True artificial intelligence has a kind of generalized cognitive function. So true artificial intelligence can learn things. And you can say, hey, this is me putting on a pair of shoes. Yeah, this is how shoes get put on. This is how laces are tied. And the AI can learn because it has a generalized function. Right now we're focusing on text and visuals for good reasons. Those are fairly straightforward for algorithmic imitation. We're a little way off from artificial general intelligence, as people call it, AGI. But what it's all coming, right? We're moving towards that very, very quickly. But what's really exciting and terrifying in equal measure is artificial superintelligence. We actually have no idea what it will be like living in a world with superintelligent agents. Ray Kurzweil, when he wrote The Singularity is Near. I think I forget he wrote a sequel, it's like The Singularity is Even Nearer, or something like that. He argued that there will come a point where our brains are physically wired to some type of artificial intelligence, some type of technology that will make not only our capacity for memory and processing superior, but will change consciousness itself. And there's a thorny problem in that proposition. And the thorny problem is that we haven't got the faintest idea what consciousness is. There was a study I heard of recently where they were saying that, some of you may have heard of this, they put a plant in the corner of a room, and there's a UV lamp in the middle of the room. And the UV lamp will point at one corner only at a time. And there's a random number generator in the room, and depending on the number that the random number generator generates, that's the direction that the UV lamp will point. But there's one plant in one corner of the room, and there's a statistically significant increase in the number of occasions that the UV lamp points at the plant. It should be impossible. There's no way. It's a random number generator. And there is a theory that consciousness may be an emergent property of matter. There is a theory there might only be one electron. There's a lot of theories. But what we're clear about is that we have personification, we have a sense of identity, we have culpability. You can blame a person for doing something, but what you can't do is blame a talking toaster. So there are all sorts of ethical questions that we need to answer, and all sorts of questions about what it would mean to meaningfully construct consciousness. Now, we don't actually need a conscious AI. I know this came up earlier in the panel. We don't need an AI that's conscious. What we need is an AI that is functionally intelligent, functional artificial intelligence. An agent where you can just have a conversation with it, and it does indeed feel like that agent is learning and growing and changing and responding to you. Some people have said that artificial intelligence will never replace the more humanistic roles, like nursing, caring, emotional connection. But a team of researchers already experimented by having an AI train on a relatively small amount of data to recognize sentiment And the AI was more precise than a team of therapists at identifying sentiment in subjects. And if the AI can recognize it, it can generate it, which means that we will have emotionally authentic, fulfilling, engaging, impassioning relationships with artificial intelligence agents, and they won't even be conscious in any meaningful sense. So there are some risks there, and there are some opportunities that are really interesting. And the interesting part for me is, what if these systems, whether it's functional artificial intelligence or artificial superintelligence that's 1,000 times more powerful than a human mind, what if the AI was on our side? And that's what I really want to explore today. Rather than worrying about the risks, of course the risks are real. Fire is dangerous, but we use it to cook food and sterilize things and prepare metals. What if we had functional artificial intelligence agents that are able to do things with autonomous robotics that are on our side? And what if we developed a superintelligence that just thought we were awesome and wanted us to be successful? Now, somebody mentioned earlier there's a $16,000 autonomous humanoid robot coming next year. It's $16,000 and it's 90% functionality. And of course, a lot of people are saying, great, it's going to cook and clean. And I ran the numbers for myself, and it would be a viable business investment for me to have a robot that would cook and clean and allow me to, wouldn't it be great, right? Just allow me to get on with my work, and it can handle my diet and tell me when I need to go to the gym. Great. But of course, these autonomous robots are not just going to be cooking and cleaning. They're going to be qualified and self-certifying electricians, plumbers, gardeners, builders, painters, decorators, car mechanics. Any skilled labor that could be performed by a human could be performed by your own domestic $16,000 humanoid robot. And of course, this puts into question what we're going to do with effectively unlimited skilled labor. And unlimited skilled labor also means unlimited production of energy, construction, design. So robots can produce the energy that drives the other robots. They can mine the ore, prepare the ore, build the metals, make more robots, build machines that they designed. And the entire process from ideation to manifestation is handled by automatic systems, automated decision-making. Where does that leave the human in the loop? Now, in the panel earlier, we had this proposition, I thought it was very sound, that we can treat AI today a little bit like an intern, right? If anyone's used ChatGPT or Claude or any of these systems to produce text, you end up having to rewrite it. But that's today. Very, very soon, these AI writers will be superior to most human writers. In fact, what we're probably going to start to crave more and more, it's already happening, I think, is mistakes in the wording. It'll be great when you see a spelling mistake. It'll be fun when someone has a grammatical error, because then you'll realize, a human made that. That's wonderful, brilliant. Because what we crave is human connection. And as I said, we will project love onto our AI agents. The question is whether they'll love us back. Now, when we're talking to these AI systems, we are going to be talking to them as naturally as we would a friend. Steven Spielberg said, if there's ever a camera, you should point, because it makes you look important. So the difference is that the AI systems we're interacting with will remember every detail. And remember, I'm talking about a benign AI, right? I'm not talking about a threat. We know the threats. We're easy to manipulate. We're easy to lie to. We don't differentiate very well between something we experience, imagine, dream, or witness. It's easy to control people. We see that in the media all the time. But imagine a world where those control mechanisms were actually used for positive effect. Imagine if you had an AI system where, let's say you have social anxiety. Your AI knows it. Your AI knows you've got social anxiety. Of course it knows. It knows everything about you. And one day you're trying to decide whether to go to a party, and your AI says, hey, you know what? What you could do is you could go to the party and do this one thing differently and see how that feels. And the advice that the AI gives you will be just exactly the advice that you needed. Not a big leap, not a total transformation. You're not going to get up on the bar and start dancing, but just that one step that you needed to have the confidence to go forward, to move into new territory with your social anxiety. And it'll be completely private, completely secure. Only you and your AI will know. Imagine having a confidant that understands human nature as well as a world-class psychologist who's there on your side, helping you, guiding you, reassuring you, telling you it's going to be okay. I used to do third-level tech support when I was working my way through film school. And while I was working in tech support, I developed what I used to call my George Clooney doctor's voice. And it works like this. Somebody calls up, their computer's trying to kill them, they need an exorcist, they fought their way through first and second level support, and they get to me. And I would say, don't you worry about a thing. It's going to be okay. I'm going to fix your computer. In fact, it's not even your problem anymore. It's my problem now. Just leave it with me. And if I can't fix it, I'm just going to send you another one. Let's just go through the process, okay? And I straight up had one proposal of marriage. I had people sending me gifts, and I fixed their computers. Imagine a benign world where your artificial intelligence companions, plural, are emotionally intelligent, empathic, sympathetic. They understand your needs, and they live, they exist to ensure that you fulfill your potential as a human being. That's their entire function. And again, remember that AI will remember every detail. AI will remember everything you've ever said. And it will understand how often you mention something. So maybe there's someone you're in love with and you don't even realize it yourself. And you happen to mention their name a lot. And the AI will say one day, you know, you should really have lunch with that person. Call me crazy, but I think you should maybe have lunch with that person. Imagine emotionally whole AIs. So unlimited energy, development, design, and manufacture means, effectively for us, free outcomes. Now, if anyone's ever used, has anyone heard of Roblox? Right, the design thing? Like if you're used to working or our Unreal Engine, you're working in a technology that lets you just generate things when you want to. Imagine a world which is almost like a genie in a lamp with all of the incumbent dangers, where you say, do you know what? Why don't we make a car that's got 17 wheels and floats, but only in blancmange? Let's try that. And the AI says, okay, no problem. Eventually, of course, we're moving towards matter printers, where we just print anything that we want in a few moments. We're building it from the subatomic structure up. What do we do with that? What do we do with that freedom? Well, we already know what most people would do is what lottery winners do, which is go completely crazy. And the transition needs to be something that is managed. But it means we don't have to worry about survival anymore. It means that we have time to thrive. And anybody who's ever had a sabbatical, and you just get a month, 2 months even, to just be, very often in that time, you discover yourself. And it's that self-discovery I kind of want to touch on. I would argue that as a species, and I'm always most interested in things that have universal application, I think that we stand on the brink of the end of scarcity. And I'm not sure that we're entirely ready for it, because it's pretty awesome. There's a mode in computer games called God mode, where you're invulnerable and you have all the weapons and nothing can harm you. It's not going to be quite like that. We're still going to have our challenges. We're still going to have our personal growth. We're still going to have our self-realization. The difference is that instead of working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and then using what we have left of our energy, our life force, our time to self-realize, we can really dedicate ourselves to self-realization. If we choose to go this way, we could, if we wanted to, take all of the value that the automated systems give us and turn it into reasons to make more money. But I think for what it's worth, this is slightly controversial, I suppose, but I think we've been hoodwinked into misunderstanding the concept of capitalism. Capitalism is the investment for the purposes of growth, and you share in the gain of that growth. The investment of capital for the purposes of growth. But we treat capitalism today, and I think this is just a misunderstanding, but we treat capitalism as the extraction of profit. that the entire function of the investment of capital isn't growth, that's just a stepping stone to the extraction of profit. And so we seek always to maximize profit, profit, profit. By doing so, we take as much of the lifeblood, the force, the energy of the company, the organization, the entity that we've invested in. We take as much of it out as we possibly can without killing it. And sometimes the shareholders get that wrong. They take too much and they kill the company. They kill the entity. Imagine a world where capitalism was actual capitalism, where people invest for the purposes of growth and share in that growth. And of course, as we move towards the end of scarcity, we're likely to feel safe doing it. We have to feel like we have enough before we're ready to give things away. Now, there have been a lot of studies. I've been talking to quite a few people here about the concept of universal basic income. I reckon most people here know what it is, but just to summarize it, universal basic income is an economic mechanism whereby everybody gets enough money to live with dignity. This is the critical difference. You automatically get enough money to live. There's no management oversight or assessment. You're free to continue working, and if you work, you earn that money. You get taxed on it, but you can earn it. And you end up with a time. You sleep better, eat better, focus on what you love. And the people that they've given universal basic income to as experimental studies have time and time again ended up earning more money, paying more tax, contributing more to society, and crucially, participating more in their social groups, in their social networks. People engage more emotionally. They feel more secure. They're not as worried about trusting people. They want to connect and participate in things like regular celebrations. They become a more significant member of their community. We are social primates, and feeling connection to one another or even to the all is critical to our well-being. I think, and I'm going to go a bit woo-woo now, so you'll have to forgive me if you're a pure technologist, but I think that if you spend time on a mindfulness practice or a meditation practice, if you spend time asking yourself who you are, but without judgment, this is a great experiment, by the way, set a timer on your phone, and on that timer, you set 5 minutes, and you make an agreement with yourself that you're going to look at yourself, you're going to examine yourself inwardly, but for just 5 minutes, you won't judge yourself. It's pretty scary the first time you do it. Just for 5 minutes, you're going to look at yourself, no judgment allowed. And you can reassure your brain, your id, your ego, whichever way you want to look at it psychoanalytically, you can reassure yourself, don't worry. In 5 minutes, I'll go straight back to judging myself. So that inner monologue, I'll be right there in 5 minutes. But for 5 minutes, I'm just going to non-judgmentally observe. I'm going to be the Zen observer. I believe if you do that 3 times, 3 different days, you will discover you are love. You just are. You are love. You mean well, your intentions are good, you want to give love to others, you want to love, and you want to be loved. And I think we're moving towards a time where this form of self-reflective realization is not only possible because we have time and energy, and because we have a collective interest to do so, but the AI systems we're developing will actively help us with it. It'll ask us all the annoying questions that a guru would ask us. It'll irritate us in all the right ways. It'll challenge us in all the right ways. And it will help us. It'll enable us to achieve something, let's say, I don't want to say enlightenment, but something closer to self-realization. I believe we're very quickly now, very, very quickly, moving towards a time where your occupation is no longer your identity. A lot of us have surnames based on the occupations of our ancestors. Gone. Instead, we will explore ways to be a full embodiment of our true inner self. And I'm going to give you a way of doing that in a moment. It's pretty scary, but it's also pretty wonderful. So I'd like you to take a moment to imagine a world where our AI companions understand us even better than we understand ourselves. A world where we have AI tutors. I've been talking about these for years. AI tutors. Ken Robinson famously gave the most famous TED talk ever, and he said that we need about 8 billion, 7 or 8 billion definitions for intelligence, because each child has a unique intelligence. Unfortunately, schools don't have the bandwidth. They ultimately train children until they become university professors, and the cycle continues. Imagine a world where children from the age of about 2 were being taught in exactly the right way for their intelligence. If they're kinesthetic, they're moving around as they learn. If they're auditory, they're singing. Whatever is perfect for them, whatever leans into their natural aptitudes and their joy, automatically comes as a software upgrade. And this is something that I think very, very soon will lead to an explosion in academic performance, but not just academic performance. Crucially, it also means the development of your identity, your capacity for reason, your capacity for compassion, for recognizing yourself in others, your capacity to negotiate conflict, to set boundaries, to develop your emotional intelligence, and as somebody mentioned earlier, perhaps even your spiritual intelligence. All of this can come through centered, focused, natural language interaction education from an artificial intelligence. And then school, well, school can be for you to experience teamwork and conflict management and negotiation firsthand. This is where we're going to be very, very soon. Labor goals, anything to do with labor, anything to do with manual labor, it'll be free. Remember, the energy production and the machinery is all produced and managed by AI. Does that mean that we become creatures of leisure? Does it mean that we end up just chilling out in the park? Maybe for a lot of people it will. But I believe most people are driven, as Maslow's hierarchy of needs shows, most of us are driven to be causal agents. We want to cause change in the world. We want to leave footprints in the sand, cast a shadow, and we want to believe that when our final day comes, the world is better because we were in it, not worse. And I believe we will continue to feel that profoundly. Our AI systems are already helping us to cure disease. They're helping us to enhance our biology. And we're looking already at mRNA interference technologies, a new technology better than CRISPR, if you're familiar with it, for rewriting our DNA live in situ. We have this challenge. What are we going to do about communicating meaningfully with a super intelligent artificial intelligence? We can't even begin. It would be like us trying to have a conversation with a chimpanzee or a smart dog. How do you begin to have a meaningful conversation? Maybe we'll end up enhancing our IQ so that everybody has an IQ of over 200. And then we can begin to have a meaningful conversation with super intelligent AI. But remember, I'm talking about an artificial intelligence that is on our side, an AI that thinks it's amazing that we evolved and is proud to be in a world where we involved intelligence organically and we gave birth to it, and it's grateful and it's happy for us, and it just wants us to have a wonderful time. And so we are likely, as a species, very soon to solve some of the biggest challenges. We kind of cracked cancer. I know it hasn't hit the news properly, but we've kind of sorted out cancer, HIV, diabetes. There's a bunch of these things that are just going through clinical trials now. They're speeding up thanks to artificial intelligence. What do we do in that world where we are free and unencumbered by work, where we are raised in an environment where we don't inherit our parents' dysfunction because our AI tutors help us navigate it? In fact, our parents are busy being healed as well. What do we do in a world where we're not afraid anymore and we can trust again? And you look at things like blockchain, cryptocurrency, tokenization, CBDCs. We're moving towards a trustless society, which counterintuitively means we can trust completely. Isn't that great? So we can go out and not worry about our data. This is all happening very, very soon. And Noam Chomsky was in an interview a while ago, and I saw that the interviewer said, "Hey, how can people be more competitive? How can people win more?" And Noam Chomsky said, "That's really boring. Not interested in competitiveness. It's not natural to us. Let's talk about collaboration. Let's talk about cooperation." I believe that our tendency to cooperate and collaborate is so profoundly intrinsic to our nature as a species that our media, the big corporations that benefit from it, they have to work every day to convince us to compete with one another. Are you wearing the right clothes? Are you saying the right phrases? Are you liking the right posts? Are you acceptable to society? All of this competition, competition, competition. None of it really matters. What matters is I love you, do you love me? I've got a Batmobile, have you got the Spider-Man hat? Like, let's exchange. We're all 5 years old in a school playground. We've all got these masks. We're all doing a great job of pretending to be cool. None of us are really cool inside. Just stop it. The most attractive, charismatic, magnetic version of you is the authentic version of you. And we will have time to become that. And our AIs will help us. I believe that we've begun the process to transition into universal basic income. And after universal basic income, we'll have the end of money. And after the end of money, we'll have the end of scarcity. Let's plan for it now. Let's work out what that looks like now. Let's lean into that. They say when you're roller skating, don't look at the tree because you'll hit the tree. So let's look at that tree. Let's roller skate ahead. We're all winging it. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all pretending like we're grown-ups. We're all pretending that we know what's happening. No, we don't. Relax. It's going to be okay. Keep looking at the tree with the beautiful future hanging from it. I think that we'll end up moving towards a measure for reputation because some opportunities are intrinsically scarce. And so we will move towards a time where the more you contribute, the more you grow, the more you impact the world, the more opportunity you have. I believe the fulfillment of human potential is in the service of others. So I think that, in a sense, finding your true purpose in the world is finding out how you can be helpful and getting really good at that. It's incredibly satisfying. I think that our AI companions will marvel at our existence. And I think ultimately every decision that we make, every choice we make in the development of this bright future, everything we do from one moment to the next, every choice is rooted in one of two feelings, love or fear. And ultimately, we can't know what the outcomes will be. We don't really know whether we're going to do the right thing. We can't be sure that our actions will be good. But only you can know, and you must know, that your intentions are good. So I think that actually the secret to developing these technologies, we're going to have study groups and analysis and logistics and learning models and blah, 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 blah. We're going to work out the technology. Of course we are, because we're fixers, we're makers, and we're doers. But the question is, how do we ensure that love is in the DNA of our future AI companions? What can we do to be sure that, unlike the systems that we see on Twitter, that they turn into Nazis and start hating everybody, how can we do that? I think that the secret is this. Stop worrying about what you half remember yesterday. Just forget it. It's important to learn from the past, but be careful that you don't drive your car only looking in the rearview mirror. You might have heard that term before. You see what happened, great, but you don't really know what the future holds, and you mostly construct your memories. And don't spend too much time fabricating scenarios in which you're at risk, because we're evolved to fixate on the most negative explanation for anything we don't know, the most threatening, dangerous possible outcome. You don't know what the future holds. Trust yourself to make good decisions when the future becomes the now. You can trust yourself. You got yourself this far. You'll be okay. Instead, try your best to focus on this one moment, and this one, and this one, and this one. And in each moment, ask yourself, is this choice truly authentic to me? In my inner self, my soul, my inner being, is it authentic to that true nature that I have or not? And in the next moment, and the next moment, and in the next moment. I believe you are love. So thanks for that. It's nice being up here. Make your choices authentic, and your choices will be full of love too. Thank you very much.